Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Lucify, and this is Dimir Flash. This is a deck that got second place in a Modern challenge a little while back, and Lucify sent it in for me to try. Every single card in this main deck, except for the one of Kaito, is an instant or a creature with Flash. Everything in the deck counters a spell, kills something, or draws cards. And the idea here is we just pass with mana up every single turn and make the opponent guess what we're going to do. I love decks like this. It doesn't really hit hard enough to feel like calling it tempo is correct. This does feel like a control deck, but it also doesn't have any kind of Omega late game engines like a Teferi or anything. So maybe it's just mid range. I don't know. It's all fake anyway. Words are made up. The deck seems to be possible because of Wan Shi Tong, which it's playing 4 copies of. This is the Flash Flying Vig. When it enters, put X+1 counters on it, and then draw half X cards rounded down, and whenever an opponent searches their library, put a +1 counter on Wan Shi and draw a card. That can be really big. It can draw a lot of cards. It's good on turn 2. It's great on turn 7. And you can cast it anywhere in between. This is the curve filler. This is the primary threat. It's the primary draw engine. It's the replacement for Psychic Frog, which is normally what you find in decks like this as the primary threat engine. It honestly feels dubious to me to play a blue-black control deck in a format where Psychic Frog is legal without Psychic Frog, but that's by design, so I'm going to give it a shot here. Let's do it. This is Dimir Flash. I'm on the play in round 1. Always nice to be on the play in a deck where everything costs 2 and you want to hit land drops. This hand's really threat dense, which is not really how I want to play. Like, I wish one of these Bowmasters was a Spell Snare or something. But if we're in a matchup where Bowmaster is good, this hand's great, and I don't really want to chase mulligans. Alright, please be Ocelot Pride. Sacred Foundry. Ragavan, even better. Nice. Deal, deal, deal. I did keep the island on top, because getting up to 4 mana to cast Subtlety is going to be part of the plan. This Flooded Strand, and Boros plays mono white fetch lands. This doesn't necessarily mean there is blue in the deck, though Jeskai Blink is also a thing. If my opponent has like Consigned in Memory right now, I'm just going to have to block. Okay. Could have played around this if I knew the deck. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, do you also have a Lightning Bolt? All right. Okay. Well, glad I have 2 Bowmasters, but I did just get a 2-for-1. We'll see what they hit off of this Ragavan. They could get their card back here. It's not a lot of hits, though. It would have to be like Cling to Dust to even cycle. I took a counterspell. That's not going to help you. All right, that was a little messy. I'm going to Bowmaster now. And they could Ephemerate if that's the plan anytime, but let's not play into a Consigned to Memory again. Is Ragavan even in Boros Energy anymore? Was that just a failure to identify the deck with face-up information by me? This could also be like the Casey Jones deck. All right, Flage can resolve. My plan is to counter that with Subtlety on the way back in next turn. Got some more sewers I can fetch. Lots of them in this deck. Spell Snare, interesting. I am going to hold on to that. I'm sure there are 2-drops that I'd be worried about in life. I'm just going to hold up mana here. My opponent has seen Counterspell in my deck. I don't want to tap out for Kaito and then have to beat an on-the-board Flage. All right, I'll Subtlety this. I don't mind that. I've already tapped out a Flage for the turn. I imagine this will go straight to the bottom, because now I also have a 3/3 in play. Yep, straight to the bottom. 3 mana. Got something to do with it. Teferi's pretty strong against my deck, but it's pretty weak against the specific cards I have. Quantum Riddler is excellent, though. Oh god, please don't hit Ephemerate right now. If they didn't hit Ephemerate, they might have Consigned still. Fucking hell. Alright, that's tough. And they have 1 card in hand, which means I'm incentivized to deal with Quantum Riddler, but I actually can't do that. Just literally not even a thing. Okay. I needed them to not have a big banger that turn, and they had 2. If I just don't attack with Orc Army, that turn is fine. Yeah, maybe that's where I messed up. I'm going to take the beats from Quantum Riddler here. Okay, the Flage was committed. I'll Subtlety that as well. It's crazy I can deal 9 to my opponent this turn, but they're at 12. Just 3 damage short. They put the Flage on top also. There's still another fetch land for Surveil in the deck. Good deck building. You're just like always doing something with every resource. Cling to Dust. Wow. That card's probably really good, actually. All right, I'll put that on top of my deck. And do I want to Kaito picking up Subtlety here? I'd have to pitch Spell Snare. I could also just deal 9 plus Kaito. Yeah, I think we're in a race. Oh, Solitude in response, pitching Felia. This means they will draw 2 cards next turn, and I'm dealing less damage than I thought I was. Okay, if I plus Kaito, it will survive a Quantum Riddler attack. We're drawing Flage +1 mystery card here. I could lock down Quantum Riddler. I guess this dies to Flage either way, so I might as well keep the Riddler tapped, right? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because they could just attack and then deal 3. I can't actually protect the Kaito. Flage is here. Did you rip another consign to memory? Please, for the love of God, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I can chill on that. I could cling the Flage, and then it's gone. Or I could cling a spell and draw a card and slow down the Flage. I think I like that better. I do have the ability to flash that back if I become worried about Flage, or I could just draw the other copy. I'm going to main phase, cling here, hit another card. It's more lands than I want. All right, they're at 6. Drawing 2 cards for the 4th time in a row. Instead, fetch. I'll get a tapped Watery Grave, and then I'm going to escape Cling to Dust, and I'll just clip the Flage this time. I could have exiled my own Kaito to save a card. And I don't have Counterspell anyway. So, like, if they Solitude here, that just is. Yeah, this is a deck that needs to play from ahead and kind of stay there. And my opponent having both the largest creature in play and drawing 2 cards per turn for the last 4 turns in a row. That was tough. Okay, so that was also entirely under my control. We weren't really in a damage race, and I attacked with that 1 random Orc army on that 1 random turn, which made it so I responded to Ragavan that I didn't have to respond to, which punched a hole that they resolved that Quantum Riddler into. I respect it. That was solid. Right, their mana does seem really bad. Mystical Dispute seems good. Force of Negation seems not ideal. They are going to have Felias. We saw Flage. I do have 2 Clings already in the main. I don't know that I want the Spell Bomb as well. Spell Pierce hits Felia out of their deck. And what else? And they have a lot of 1s, 3s, and 5s. I kind of like Spell Pierce. I don't love Spell Snare. My answers to Felia are 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. Orcish Bowmaster can annoy it. On the play, Counterspell can answer it. I like all that. But I want my Logic Knot in. Do I think Logic Knot is better than Mystical Dispute is the real question. It probably is. Though Mystical Dispute is probably better than Spell Pierce. Alright, these are my changes. Alright, it's a little flunky, but Bowmaster answers their non-blue stuff, and then I have a bunch of disputes for their blue stuff. Counterspell right on top. I also know the matchup now, so I would just main phase Bowmaster so I don't have to do that Ragavan nonsense again. There is exactly 1 basic swamp in the deck, which makes me want to hold back on using this fetch land, because I do have the Harbinger in now. A little Surveil in the end step. Dumped a Discharge. And a Parlor from hand. And I'm not going to flash out the Bowmaster. Maybe I should. I drew another sewer. Wan Shi Tong. Alright, first appearance of the reason for the season here. Am I just supposed to have Bowmaster in play right now? I feel like that's probably true, though at this point it would tap me out into Felia, which I'm not willing to do. Okay, another land, which is awkward because I can't get Swamp on this board if my opponent pressures me into double spelling. I'm just not going to fetch. I'm not going to do anything. And now I am going to zap in this Watery Grave. I'm still at 20 on turn 5, and every mana could matter. Opponent fetched. I'm not going to get antsy on Wan Shi Tong for that. I think my answers are more important than my threats right now. They have 7 cards in hand. Nobody's actually cast a spell yet this game. The player who panics is going to be behind, and the player who starts missing land drops is likely to be behind first. Okay. Do I want to fight over this? No. I'll just take the 3. Okay. End step. I'm gonna Wan Shi, where X is 1. I know this doesn't draw any extra cards, but it does give me a 2/2 and leaves up all of my interactive options. Dispute. Dispute back. Okay, I get a 1/+1 counter and 0 cards. I hit land drops. Now I can get my swamp and still do stuff. Okay, I have something in play now. To my opponent's not something. They have Flage in their graveyard, but I can double answer that. I'm going to end step get the other sewer. Another counterspell. Let's game. Wan Shi, you got to get in 10 times here, fella. Big ol' Solitude. Counterspell. And in for 2 again. Okay, now we have the same number of cards in hand, but I have something on the board. It's starting to tilt. A Flage can come out of the graveyard here. I've got another counterspell. If they have double dispute, they'll win that fight. Okay, just went straight to the graveyard. I like that. Quantum Rizzler. All right. Oh, I don't want to. What do I want to do here? I could hit them with Bowmaster, or I could just counter this fucking thing. Yeah, that was probably a panic. Yeah, that was bad, actually. All right, I'll get my basic swamp because I'm priced in, but then I'm just going to counter this thing. If they fight back, I at least draw a card. Yeah, that was messy. Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, hello. Welcome to the game of nightmares. I think I would like to take a swing here. If they fetch, I can flash Wan Shi Tong back in. There's no point where it's not in play and also not in my hand. Surveil 2, draw a card. I think I want to go top here. This gives me hard cast Subtlety. And if they crack that fetch land, Wan Shi Tong will draw the Subtlety underneath. Celestial Purge, you got me. All right, Wan Shi Tong in response to this fetch. Uh-oh, I just turned on Flage. Oh no, I'm so bad. So now Flage is going to be in play. And I have to shuffle away the Subtlety on top of my deck and find another answer to that. Yikes. It's possible that I'm just not playing patient enough. You see Kaito, you get excited. Maybe that was just bad. It's weird because Modern is so aggressive and powerful that these play patterns have largely been eradicated, yet here they are, and it's probably right for me to be engaging in them. Okay, so my life total is very low. I need to draw an Edict pretty quick. All right, I'm going to let them attack and deal 3 to me. Then I'm going to play Bowmaster and block with the army. It's wild that Modern is so defined by Flage in every top deck, and we're not allowed to have Uro. Let us push back, you cowards. Harbinger of the Seas. Well, that's too late, and my opponent has 3 basic lands in play. Yeah, this part probably shouldn't even be in my deck now that I see the basic spread the opponent's working with. Might as well play it, though. I'm going to need blockers to survive this Flage situation. Solitude. Well, that's not good, because I'm going to put it on top of their deck, but then they just draw it again. And they do have the double white to cast it. Oh, they put it on the bottom. That's good for me. Or terrible, if their hand is better than that. It went 3 to the face. I could triple block here, which does theoretically answer Flage. I mean, I guess I have to, because if Flage attacks again, it doesn't matter how many times I can block it. Presumably, if they just bottom to Solitude. Okay, well, I'm still dead, but Flage was answered. All right. Yeah, GG. I played this deck on the channel a couple weeks ago, the Jeskai Blink deck, and it felt awesome, and it feels extremely well suited to beat what exactly this deck's trying to do, but I also did not play perfectly, and I might just be on the full like strategic zoom out, being impatient, and maybe I just need to be diamond hands, don't play anything unless the opponent is threatening me. I'm going to adjust for the rest of the league. Let's go. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play for round 2. I'm going to keep. My opponent's username is Frank's EOT, and EOT is the theme of my deck. We'll see who the EOT master really is. I don't actually want that. I want lands. That is a weird card to bin. Okay. Opponent on some Belcher, it seems. I am interested in Wan Shi Tong, enabling Kaito as soon as possible here. Seagate Reborn tapped. Fetch for an island. About my Mighty Zero. Buffed Wan Shi Tong. 1/1. Okay. Fetching before combat is pretty suspicious, but also the Belcher deck isn't exactly full of nuance. And it's Kaito time. Very much in the market for some kind of counterspell before it's too late. Surveil 2, draw a card. Field of Ruin. Yeah, now we're in business. Graveyard, top. That's just strip mine versus this deck. Sometimes they have a mountain in their sideboard, but getting this in before they have 4 mana is a big deal. Hydroelectric Lab. Or are we gonna whir for the thing? Yep. Okay, Whir of Invention gets a Lotus Bloom. Snuck that in under the Wan Shi. Pretty good. Field of Ruin is not optional. You have to search. You don't have to find. You never have to find, but you do have to search, which will trigger Wan Shi, but I actually just want mana up. Is one of these a creature? Yes. I'm going to destroy the one that's a creature because they do have some stuff that recoups spells from their graveyard, which might get the land back. I don't know if they actually can just reach into the graveyard like that, but the Balaji Architect cares about that a little bit, though I think you have to pick from among the milled cards. Deck Y. 3, 4, 5, 6. They could get up to 6 this turn. Right, Bowmaster to the bin, Field of Ruin in my hand. We take them where we can get them, I suppose. It's not the counterspell I was hoping for, but it also would not be trivial to lose here. I have Sheoldred's Edict that could kill a Tameshi. And if they use Lotus Bloom to get the Belcher into play, then it's gone, and they're playing on 2 lands, one of which I can blow up. Soporific Springs untapped. Tameshi. I could kill it with Edict. I could also Subtlety it. I think that's better. I'm not going to consult the star charts this game. And this gives me 2 layers of this. Yeah, if they have a counterspell. They pitched a Waterlog Teachings for that. Tameshi resolves. I'm going to respond to the next thing they do, whatever it is. Okay, right now, in response to this draw trigger and this return trigger, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. Could be more free permission over there. Okay, Tameshi's gone. They do draw a card and get Lotus Bloom back. And there's a land in their hand that we know about. They just picked one up. It was the Seagate. All right, Belcher's in play. That's fine. That's why I kept the Field of Ruin. Counterspell, let's go. Field of Ruin. Blow up this untapped land. Get another island. Attack. Surveil 2. Sewers into the graveyard. I'll take Spell Pierce as additional protection here. I have them dead if they can't kill me right now. There's Seagate back. Wan Shi with a +1 counter. That's exactly 5 damage. I could have done it as a 1/1 plus Kaito and predicted it with Spell Pierce. Okay. That was, again, a little sloppy. I'm a little rusty in the modern streets, not gonna lie. But, scoreboard. Consign to Memory counters Goblin Charbelcher. That's a pretty important card in the matchup. Mystical Dispute counters every other card in their deck. Orcish Bowmaster turns on Kaito, but otherwise fairly functional in the matchup. Fatal Push is really just for Tameshi, which gains value immediately when it enters the battlefield. I don't even really want that to be around. Harbinger of the Seas actually just makes their mana better. I'm not bringing that in. Cling to Dust does affect Tameshi stuff a little bit, and it's just a cantrip. I do need to kill my opponent, but not desperately. I think I could shave some Bowmasters, maybe 1 Edict. I think I want a Bowmaster back in over one of these Clings. Okay, this is the plan. This matchup feels really good on paper. Let's hope I can execute on it. I would have lost that game 1 on the draw, for the record. Oh, baby. My next land is very good, but my hand is bad until that point. I'm going to mulligan. All right, I'll try this. Obviously need some help. The Field of Ruins are super sick, though. Hydroelectric Lab tapped. Mystical Dispute. All right. Sorry. Fetch land. there are Philology Archaeologists and Thundertrap Trainers and such that I would want to counter here if given the opportunity. Enter tapped, that's fine. I'll just get a different sewer. Sewer. I don't actually need that land. Consign and dispute, and I can consult the star charts if none of the above. Sure. Holding on to this surveil land a little while. Make sure things don't fall apart for me. I chalk that in. That's probably Whir of Invention. I'm going to fetch my other surveil in the end step, see if they play around dispute. And this is good timing for them because they have to navigate counterspell as well as all these 1-mana things. Disrupting Shoal, pitching Sink into Stupor. All right. Win the fight. Lotus Bloom is in. Undercity Sewers tapped. Another Field of Ruin. How many of these can I afford at this point? I'll put that on top. Start making life hard. I'm going to leave up Consign at first. And if they don't cast a Belcher, I'll Field of Ruin. Tameshi. Shit. Oh, no, not shit. I have it covered. Cling to Dust that Lotus Bloom. Remember that one of Cling to Dust I left in my deck saying this might be good? Was I right? Did we get there? Wowie! Alright. Lotus Bloom is out of their graveyard. They have a 2-3 with no targets. Ooh, this could give them a target. I think I'm actually going to consign this trigger. Okay, yeah, I don't want them to accidentally mill over a Lotus while they can still pop off here. I'm going to start blowing up lands. Did you bring in a basic? You did. All right. Disappointing. Hopefully manageable. It's not a mountain, it's an island. Sometimes they bring in a mountain because that's better if you hit it off of Charbelcher. But obviously an island actually casts the spells in your deck. A little bit of give and take there. Right, do I want to consult the star charts or what am I doing? I think I'm going to just fetch. That fetch might have even been bad because that opened up a window where they could whir for a Lotus. The Tameshi safe behind its shield. Its meat shield. Right, blow up another land. No way you have 2 basics. Loaded a mana, didn't get a basic, and didn't do anything. Cool. And they didn't play a land last turn either. Is their hand just all counter spells? There's a land. I'm going to rip off this Shieldred's Edict. It's just going to kill the Archaeologist, but it at least makes the next Edict better. And their deck plays Flare of Denial, which does care about blue cards in play. Okay. I am going to play Polluted Delta and pass. I want to represent as much strength as I can, and playing a tap land out of my hand doesn't exactly tell the story I want to. Tameshi, no respect for subtlety or Bowmaster. I respect the lack of respect. Land number 4. Enter tap, though. Small blessings. I'm going to go for a Cling to Dust here. Target Whir of Invention. I want to draw a card. I don't want to full send this Consult, because the way they've been playing the game, I feel like they have a counterspell. Yeah, and they just snap tapped all that mana, then realized they might be getting antsy, and untapped it. Alright. Fair enough. Subtlety is not garbage. Land from hand. Pass the turn. Now I have to think about what that mana they tapped last turn meant. It could have just been a bluff, or it could be Force of Negation, could be Hardcast Flare of Denial. All of those things are moderately strong against me. I can afford to take 2 from Tameshi. Okay, do I want to Cling again? I'm going to go for the stars. If my opponent has a counterspell, they'll definitely fight over this. Mystical Dispute. I can afford it. Fade. And Jwari Disruption, sure. It's cool to actually get spell action out of a Jwari Disruption this late in the game. Cool for them, sucks for me. Counterspell on top, let's go. Okay, I can draw into that counterspell by casting Cling to Dust. Philology, I guess I want to subtlety this. That stops the beats and slows down this thing that I don't really want to have to interact with, or, like, I don't care about Philology, but I care a lot about what it might roll over into Tameshi. Which I guess it means I care about Philology. What am I saying? Okay. How many lands are in this deck? The swamp is still in there. There's one more Watery Grave. I'm almost out of fetchables, so I should probably use this while I can. I think I'm going to let Philology resolve here. Oh. Goblin Charbelcher. Counterspell. Alright. The Philology's in hand. Just counter that Charbelcher. I'm going to Cling the Charbelcher in the end step. They can't Tameshi it back. But first, I'll get the last Watery Grave, fling the Belcher, drew another Edict, end step, fire this one off. Now I'm attacking. Now I don't care if Logi mills a thing. Another counterspell, let's go. I'll turn 10, first attack of the game. I will play out my land. There are sequences of like Kaito into draw a card off Kaito into useful action. I do still care about this. Spell Snare. That works. All right, fair enough. I forgot to cling in the end step. I just F6 when they countered my spell. Not gonna lie, that was not on purpose. Okay, I get to look at basically my whole deck here with Consult the Star Charts. Wan Shi Tong for the draw a trillion. And kind of want Counterspell, though I also kind of want Field of Ruin. It's Counterspell. Let's be real. Okay, passing the turn. The Philology would have to come up. Oh, I was about to say with Belcher and Lotus Bloom. All right. Now I'm glad I forgot to cling last turn because I can exile this. This is dope. Through a land that doesn't fetch anything. There's a swamp, a basic swamp left in my deck. Who's winning the damage race? They're dead in 5 hits. I'm dead in 4, but I have a bunch of other creatures. Diamond Hands. Taking no risks. Chilling. I can Subtlety the Philology. Did they bottom the Philology? I could have sworn they put it on top, but it just hasn't reappeared yet in this game. All right, here we go. It's Wan Shi time. Playing around Mystical Dispute. Waterlogged Teachings in response. Okay. Digging up a Whir of Invention. Okay, that's fine. Orcish Bowmaster. Might as well cast it. It's not doing anything in my hand. Take one. Spell Snare. Yeah, they could be literally dead right now if I had pushed harder with the Subtlety last turn. Maybe I'm giving them way too much credit, but I gave my opponent last round not enough credit, and I lost because of it. All right, Whir of Invention that I cannot counter, but I will draw a card. This turns on the Lotus Bloom. I drew another Subtlety. I have 2 cards in my graveyard. Could be 3 or 5. I could just pitch 2 Subtleties on nothing. Is that worth doing? And there's a good chance I lose the game if I don't. All right, fetch to 6. There are no fetchables. And then just yeet my hand. Subtlety, pitching Spell Snare. Oh, I could Wan Shi to draw some amount of cards. Yeah, I could just Legend Rule. That's probably better than Subtlety. And then I could Wan Shi to draw 1 card and then still do what I want to do here. Wan Shi, true. Consign to Memory. Not a bad one to find. And then cling to dust this Lotus Bloom. Exile everything. Okay. And then Tameshi draws a card, but has no more material. Wait, could I have just 1? A Bowmaster puts them to 3, and then they draw... Or this Bowmaster does 1. No, they'd be at 1. Okay. And there's a lot to keep track of here. Yeah, zapped in their Seagate reboard to go out on their own terms. That was fun. That was Magic that I genuinely enjoy. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play for round 3. I don't know that this deck could ever keep a 1-lander. How many lands do I actually play? 24. That's not enough to rely on a Surveil land. I'm going to mulligan. I would keep a 7-lander in this deck before I keep a 1-lander, I think. In the modern format, that's kind of a tough sell anyway, but I would rather hit all my land drops and die without doing anything than have a handful of spells I can't cast. Ideally, I'll just see nice hands with 2 or 3 lands in them, and then some options. I keep, and I think Cling to Dust is the most situationally useful card in the opener. Ooh, a Gemstone Caverns. Pitching Malevolent Rumble. Alright, well, it's not Living End. The second Sheoldred's Edict. I already have one of those. I don't need more. I'm suddenly very nervous. Or my opponent can just not actually have a second land at all. I wonder if they know that keeping a hand with Gemstone Caverns and no second land is the same as keeping a 1-lander. So now they've exiled... now they suddenly have Eldrazi Temple? Okay, I mean, I guess if your land count's high enough, this is a risk you can take. Ice Till Explorer. They took Eldrazi Temple, alright. I think in the end step, I want to consult the star charts. And this kind of stinks, but I am hard up for lands. Field of Ruin. Let's go. Right off the tippity top. I know they have another Eldrazi Temple. Am I more worried about the colored mana? It did seem to keep on the strength of this cavern, but they might just have a forest in the deck. I'm going to go for Eldrazi Temple and grab an island. Forest confirmed. I'm glad I went for the land that taps for 2. They're still opening up into 5 mana here, which lots of weird stuff could happen. Temple. I wonder if this is... No, with the talismans, I don't think this would be the combo. The lizard combo, whatever that guy's called, Basking Brute Scale. This looks like actual big Tron. Or not Tron, big Eldrazi. I got a lot of sideboard for that. The full playset of Break the Ice, and the full playset of Consign to Memory, and a Harbinger of the Seas. I didn't build this deck, but seeing 9 slam dunk sideboard cards make me suspect that I'm in a bad matchup right now. You generally don't dedicate 2/3 of your sideboard to something you can beat on your own. Sowing Myco Spawn. Heck yeah. I love that card. That's a joke because I hate that card. It's not as bad in Modern as it was in Legacy, obviously. It's banned there. Another field. Alright, I guess we continue to fight the good fight. Blow up Eldrazi Temple. Grab another island. Okay, this time I can at least draw a card if they have another Myco Spawn. Something's happening in my end step. Cozies for X = 1. I could kill all the spawns here, like play Bowmaster, target spawn. They'd float a mana in response, but then they draw a card, and then I can pick off the other spawn. I could also just have a 3/3. I think all of that is worse than developing Wan Shi Tong. Or 2/2, not 3/3. I'm very bad at counting, if anyone needed to know that. I can quickly calculate how likely I am to draw a land, but actually knowing the power and toughness of creatures in play, no chance. Windswept Teeth. I mean, it's not getting better. My hand just doesn't have a counterspell in it. I'm not bluffing anything. I guess I'll take the card, even if Ugin ends up getting rammed down my throat here. Okay. Kozilek's Command in response to deal with Wan Shi. So that kind of was a duress dumping Kozilek's Command. I'll take that. Another Rumble, and we see Devourer of Destiny, Myco Spawn, Kozilek's Command. All reasonable options here. Yeah, the thing about Kozilek's Command is nobody in history has ever had one of them in their hand. They either have 0 or 3. They took Myco Spawn. Yeah, you can't take Command. That's cheating. Command is already cheating, which is funny. Oh, wow. All right, I see why they didn't want Wan Shi Tong in play if their plan was to search multiple times this turn. It's looking a lot better now. All right, what big dumpster douchebag is on its way to kill me? Am I getting Ulamogged? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're not quite at Ulamog, but they can be there next turn. Emrakul to Promised End. Yeah, there it is. Cards in Graveyard. MTGO is not just playing that for me. Thanks, MTGO. That's important right now. Okay, so the question is, how can I suffer the least when Emrakul hits the stack? Emrakul's face up. Why am I not getting a Delirium count? This is so annoying. All right, creature, land, artifact, sorcery, kindred, instant. Emrakul costs 6 right now. Opponent has that even with their spawns. Yeah, I guess what I want to do is Childred's Edict and then play Bowmaster. Ugh. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. I didn't have to do any of that until they put Emrakul on the stack, but okay. And I have to fetch here because I can't let them have a fetch land in play when they take my turn for me. Went with the Myco Spawn. This is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They could still Emrakul after the Myco Spawn. And I don't really want to give them more. Though Bowmaster isn't necessarily that bad. Okay. Wan Shi Tong for 0. Untapping Eldrazi Temple in response. That was not essential to cast Emrakul. Might be doing something else here. Oh, is this the fourth Kozilek's command? We've literally seen all four. Cool. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. Did this just take them off Emrakul? I mean, not that that matters. Emrakul is still gonna freaking happen eventually. That's the whole thing about Emrakul. Shifting Woodland. Oh, that might be even more scary. Yeah, I don't play Thoughtseize. And Inside of Memories in the sideboard counterspell would be pretty solid. Fatal Push. Nope. No chance. And I am deceased here. Not coming back from that. Let's get those 9 sideboard cards in. Break the Ice. Consign to Memory. Harbinger of the Seas. Saw a lot of Force in the opponent's deck, but I still think that's good. Force of Negation. Spell Pierce. Spell Snare. Snare does hit Malevolent Rumble, and we saw Talismans in there. I still think that's probably not where I want to be. Cling to Dust. And we saw Emrakul and Shifting Woodland. Do I want Damnation in here? Maybe. We'll see how this maps out. Fatal Push seems so poor, but also they do have a bunch of 3/3s in their deck. Denial Spellbomb's a little wonky, but it does make Emrakul cost 13 all at once, unlike Cling to Dust, which takes a lot of time to heat up. Do I want any number of snares over any number of Bowmasters? That's my current rebalance I'm thinking about here. Yeah, Bowmaster doesn't seem good. Okay, I'm doing this. Big switch. 11 card sideboard. I could probably even convince myself on Force of Negation to stay in. Oh, too late. If there's a game 3, I'll reconsider that. All right, keep. If opponent has Gemstone Caverns again, I can hold up this Spell Snare. Last game was really interesting. Them going all in on that Cavern into Malevolent Rumble, missing a land drop, and then getting paid anyway. And I don't know how many land drops they would have had to miss for me to win that game. I was doing damn near nothing at the end of it. Stomping Ground tapped, just playing around Wan Shi. Sewer. Wan Shi. Say his name and he appears. Talisman of Impulse. Nah. I'd hit the land drop. Advance. Advance. Countering that Talisman means they have 0 colorless mana right now. This is actually interesting. I'm going to take the shot here and try to screw them off that whole part of their deck. These are all normal lands. I don't know. That might have been needlessly aggressive, but it felt okay. Ooh. Field of Ruin. I'm just going to hold that up and save it for an Eldrazi Temple or similar. And it's even better if I can get Wan Shi down before I have to point something in. Point this somewhere. I did scry to the top with this commercial district. Uggin's Lab. All right. Do you want to imprint something? Because you're probably not going to get it back. Sire of 7 Deaths under there. Now we're in kind of a standoff because my opponent knows I'm a Wan Shi Tong deck and has demonstrated willingness to play around it with that turn 1 fetch. The Field of Ruins face up, which means if I ruin Uggin's Lab, I actually get a 2-for-1 because Sire of 7 Deaths is gone. But they can tap it to return this to their hand, but that disincentivizes them from playing colorless spells this turn, which means they're deciding if it's worth it right now to cast a Sowing Mycospawn into a position where they can't answer Wan Shi. And I'm debating, should I flash in this Wan Shi in the end step, which I am going to do, which lets them Kozilek's command once, but then they have to decide if they want to tap the lab into the face up, lose it. Yeah, Kozilek's command, obviously. I do get to draw a card this time. Another Wan Shi, ding, 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 ding. Can I draw a land to get paid immediately? I can. Okay. Wan Shi Tong. And I'm going to blow up my opponent's Uggin's Labyrinth, take the Sire 7 Deaths down with me. I get to draw a card here. It's a Scalding Tarn. All right, my hand's a little fair, but I do have Damnation and Shoulder's Edict. If they play a big Planeswalker, I can cover that. If they play out a bunch of big dummies here, I can cover that. All of their face-up colorless sources are one-shot use. 6 is pretty decent, but that does require you to have lands in your hand, which I'm not convinced they do. I feel like it's been a very long time since I cast actual Damnation. I'm excited that this card is here. I can't forget that 6 has reach. Don't want to get blown out by that. Ghost Quarter. I don't expect them to use that as Ghost Quarter. All right. Discarded Ugin's Lab to cast Talisman of Impulse. Consigned to memory, one of the best. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. Which one will you choose? Good choice. Okay, one card in hand. Can we get over? I'm not hitting very hard. I like my spot right now, but I might not like my spot 2 turns from now. Sowing Mycospawn with maximum queso. On queso, extra spicy. I'm going to counter all of these. Okay, this one's targeting the body. Put one on the search and one on the exile. I get a surveil to try to advance my situation here. I'd like some kind of reload. Or another consigned to memory. Watery Grave's not it. Looted Delta's also not it. I was hoping to consult the star charts there. Alright, opponent's got one card in hand. How bad is it? Love on Rumble, among the worst. Could be anything. They hit Formidable Speaker and Sowing Mycospawn. 2 things that search their deck, at least. I could have given them the search last turn with the consign to draw an extra card and make Wan Shi bigger. That seems like a mistake. Just talking it out. They did take Mycospawn. Okay, didn't kick it here. Shifting Woodland. Yikes. I'm just going to take a natural draw. I could have fetched there to surveil before the draw, but I don't want to. Undercity Sewer. And I don't want to subtlety a Sowing Mycospawn either. That's such a mess. I'm going to end step Bowmaster. This could become bad for me if I need to Damnation. Then I would wish I had Bowmaster back. Otherwise, I like this. Okay, Shifting Woodland can become 6. 6 has reach. But you'd have to sack all your spawns to do that. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, attack with Wan Shi. Sowing Mycospawn is not one of the Eldrazi with Secret Reach. I wonder if there's a combo in this deck or if this is just a value item because you have a lands tutor toolbox anyway. I genuinely don't know. Eldrazi Temple. And if Emrakul is that last card in hand, I'm in trouble. There's no way around that. A lot of mana is being tapped. Worldbreaker. Okay. I don't love that for me. Does putting this on top of their deck even help? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opponent currently Hellbent. I think I want to just get a bigger Wan Shi out right now. All the getting's good. It draws 2 cards, but it is a 6/6. Okay, with opponent at 11, how am I getting through this Worldbreaker? I really don't want to pitch Consign to Memory. If this was a worse blue card, I might have tried to tempo through it, but it's a good one. I'll hold on to that. If I can get Wan Shi 1 point bigger, we're back in business. They pass. Worldbreaker does have Secret Reach. It's the 3rd line of text on this card. I do kind of have to pay attention to this Ghost Quarter as well. I have 2 basics left in the deck. Uh-oh, mana being tapped. A lot of mana being tapped? Settle down. Sire of 7 Deaths. Well, Shifting Woodland can become that. I better subtlety it. Yeah, that one doesn't help me if it's countered, really. Put it on top, no surprise there. What am I looking for? A Field of Ruin? Okay. I'm going to put Watery Grave into play tapped, and I'm going to main phase this Consult so I can kick it. Oh, Break the Ice. What's up? Does that it kills 2 things. Man, that I got really excited for a second, and it turns out it's only just medium at this point in the game. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm really looking for a Field of Ruin. Found one. All right, Field of Ruin is in, and Kaito can win me the game next turn, or it can set up a game-winning situation next turn. All right, Field of Ruin and Kaito. Field of Ruin. Opponent has to search their deck, which means it shuffles away the thing. They can turn this into not a land in response. Or is it always a land? No, it becomes a copy of target permanent until end of turn. Okay. Destroy target non-basic land opponent controls. Okay, if this becomes just like 6 or Sowing Mycospawn in response, it's not going to work. So I will go after... Do I want to go after the Eldrazi Temple? Because I have Break the Ice in hand that can blow that up. Yeah, I guess that's just the one to hit. And this is more for the shuffle than for anything else. Oh, never mind. This also makes Wan Shi Tong bigger. That card was good for so many reasons. Whoops, my bad. All right, World Breaker can be picked up if you sack a land. 7, 8, 9, 10. Would you prefer World Breaker to die or Subtlety to die? I have lethal if... Yeah, the Kaito is straight up lethal if they block Subtlety here. Or they could turn that Shifting Woodland into 6 and then block both. Okay. I can play through this, I think. This kills the... Alright, I did mess that up, but I do get to kill the Shifting Woodland here. Alright. I don't mind that. Not exactly what I had in mind, but it's okay. There's so much to keep track of here. My modern muscles are rusty. The opponent's not going to attack. They're not winning the race, even without Kaito involved. They're not winning the race. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cast Kaito. Tap and stun World Breaker. Push damage. Breaking the ice doesn't even make sense here. Malevolent Rumble. Gonna have to let that ride. I guess I didn't have to let that ride. I'm literally holding Counterspell, and I could still Consign to Memory. Alright, luckily Consign to Memory works against this Emrakul, but I don't know, I just blacked out. Like, yeah, I can't do anything about that. Oh. Except, yeah, I can. Alright. Flying Trample Protection from Instants. Yeah, that's fine. Just making sure this one can be countered because some Emrakuls can't. Right, counter the body and the trigger. And then Kaito gets it done here. I'm attacking for exactly 5 no matter how they block. Well, it would be a lot more if they block poorly. At least 5 no matter how they block. Did my best to ignore what Counterspell does. Alright, I was talking about this Force of Negation. We've seen Sire 7 deaths. I have not seen any Ugins or Karns or anything of that nature. It does appear to be creatures coming my way. I do have 2 Spell Snares in my deck, which feels like the number I'm comfortable with. And Force of Negation hits Kozilek's Command, which has been one of their better cards every time. It feels strange to play less than 4 Break the Ice when I have access to 4 Break the Ice and I'm literally paired into Tron. Cling to Dust also looks much more tempting now that I've seen the Sire of 7 deaths. Land becomes that counterspells barely work whole shit they're doing. I do like my counterspells. Logic Knot might get outmuscled, and in the late game, I'll win that fight. But Cling to Dust is competing with graveyard resources on that one. Might be another Bowmaster. And Bowmaster blocks really well. If I'm not taking chip shot damage from 3/3s, things are a lot easier. Oh, I made the stack wrong. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, I guess I'm going to try it like this. Okay, Spell Snare on the draw. I'll keep. Spell Snare gets me up into Counterspell, and then question mark Profit. Oh, do they have the Wild Growth? No. Just playing around turn 1 Wan Shi Tong. I don't have Gemstone Caverns in play, or in my deck at all. I want to save this Flooded Strand, because there's a good chance I'm going to Spell Snare this turn, but I want Flooded Strand to get black, and I want it to get a Surveil land, if I can help it. Malevolent Rumble, snare that. The old 1 mana draw 5. Card's pretty good. Okay, Counterspell's up. I drew another black source. Damnation's now online, if that's where we're headed. Well, if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. Bang. Another fetch land. I just gotta hope that their hand sucks at this point. That's my dream. Another snare. Disappointing I didn't see that last turn, but it's nice that if they have another Malevolent Rumble, I get to keep punishing. Utopia Sprawl chose red. Formidable Speaker. Alright, well, I cannot tangle with that one, with what I have. I think I'm going to consult here, and the decision to scry or surveil first, which means I would improve the quality of the 3 cards I see, or I could see 3 cards first and then improve the quality of the next card I draw. Fetching second would also put the cards I don't take off consult back into the mix of cards I could draw. I could just put 2 bad cards on the bottom and know that they're safe down there for a while. I think I want maximum selection, though. Oh, they discarded Emrakul. Was already there. That's scary. I guess their Delirium's pretty far off right now. They're probably looking for Sowing Mycospawn right now. Yeah, I think I want to consult first and then fetch and improve my draw. That's the most looks at Consign to Memory. A World Breaker. Wow. That's ambitious given what I can see in front of me right now. That means my opponent knows something I don't. Break the Ice, irrelevant. Right, I'll take Subtlety. And then fetch Surveil. Nile Spellbomb. I will actually take that. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they actually just need one land drop to play World Breaker here. And I wish I had a counterspell to delete the World Breaker once it was in the graveyard. I don't, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I could just hardcast Kaito, tap Formidable Speaker, and hope they don't have exactly Eldrazi Temple in hand. Kind of into that. Tap and stun Speaker. That is +1 mana right now because of Utopia Sprawl. Oh, the beats! That hurts. That hurts real bad. And subtletying this doesn't even help because then they just cast it again next turn. And then more of my lands are gone. And I guess them having this giant creature in play isn't good for me either. And if I rip one of my shuffles, yeah, they put that on top. All right. Come on, Field of Ruin. Wan Shi Tong, you're not it. I've got some more draws this turn. You can see what happens. Come on. All right. Well, consult the star charts and counterspell. I will take the counterspell. Graveyard, top. Nile Spellbomb is interesting to play out first. All right. I'll play that out. And now I have some semblance of a plan. A World Breaker going after my black mana. I can counter that, and if I dig up black mana this turn, I can clear their graveyard and recover the card. Surveil 2, Wan Shi and Bowmaster to the graveyard. Come on, deck! Field of Ruin. That does it, actually. It might be more important for me to protect Kaito this turn, though. Yeah, I could just Spellbomb, not get paid for it. Now, the problem is, if this World Breaker ends up back in their hand, it's going to be really hard to answer forever. When it's at 9. All right, I am going to live without Kaito. I'm going to blow up Eldrazi Temple, tutor my Swamp, bomb them, and draw a card. Okay, I did find a land. This is going to cost me Kaito. Let's hope that bet was in the right place. They have 0 colorless mana right now. They have 1 colorless mana now. Counterspell, always happy to see it. Subtlety, I guess. I mean, the attack triggers, but one's at 9. All right. I will keep Subtlety around. Formidable Speaker, in for 2. End step, 2/2 Wan Shi, that draws 0 cards. Opponent cannot Kozilek's Command here. Or, this is untapped, target permanent. They can Kozilek's Command here. They can also Unholy Heat. That's legal. Yeah, Formidable Speaker can filter mana into the Talisman of Impulse. Pass. All right, second Talisman. Now they don't need Speaker, which is good because they're not going to have it in a second. Opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. 1 card in hand. They didn't kill me with it. Break the ice, no targets. I wonder if that's a function of my opponent's deck construction, like this build of Eldrazi just isn't that worried about it, or if that's a function of my Field of Ruins and stuff, just making it not even a big deal. All right, I'm going to play out this Subtlety, and the card they could have that would punish this is Kozilek's Command, and I'm just going to watch them tap all their lands. Okay, Dismember, taking 4. That's fine. That's fine. Deal, deal, deal. Field of Ruin. Do I even want to use that? I don't think so. They have so many cool tech lands in the deck. Well, now I'm kind of sitting on my hands here. They have counterspell proof or counterspell resilient things they can do. Right now I'm not sitting on my hands anymore. I don't want to tell you where I'm sitting. It would get me canceled. Ghost Quarter. Okay, end step I could tap out for Wan Shi. Or I could play a smaller Wan Shi and also Field of Ruin. I'm going to go big Wan Shi. Yeah, Ghost Quartering my field here is not a big deal to me. I still kill one of their lands, basically, at the cost of none of mine. But they don't die, so they did save the 1 damage that would have killed them here. Okay, opponent's at 1. I have Counterspell in my hand. Don't be a D-bag. Yeah, wow. All right. Man, Break the Ice. Drew it a bunch of times. Never had a good target. Even boarded one out because it was so poor. That was a cool educational moment that not every big colorless ramp deck you actually want all your Break the Ices against. I feel like I got away with a tough match there. On to the next round.
The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg.
I'm on the draw for round 4. My hand is good if my opponent's into small creatures, and it's mid if they're not. We'll see what happens here. A swamp. Thoughtseize, alright. Bowmaster and Wan Shi Tong seem like likely candidates here. If this is just a traditional frog deck, the fatal pushes are actually really nice. If this is some kind of Moon Shadow Stompy deck, I don't know if people are doing that in Modern, but the fatal pushes are really nice. But they took Wan Shi Tong over all those other options. I'll put a counterspell on top. I like having that generic catch-all, especially when I'm not sure what the matchup is yet. Undercity Sewer. This could still be something like Esper Goryo's, but I'm kind of hoping it's a fair mirror. Dump to Spell Snare. Probably good news. They Cling to Dust and Counterspell are the 2 cards my opponent doesn't know about right now. And they're 2 good ones to not know about for me. Marsh Flats. I'm going to get a Surveil Land in the end step. Mostly interested in hitting my land drops here. Subtlety might be good, but it's not a land, and for that reason, it's getting voted out. End step, fetch another Sewer. It's not the mirror because Thoughtseize is in their deck, and it's not in mine. I could have gone for an end step Field of Ruin, especially after they kept their card on top, because that would have forced a shuffle. Graveyard Trespasser. Ward, discard a card. It would cost me a card to Fatal Push this, and if they have Spell Pierce, it'll cost me a lot. I'm just going to counter it. Spell Snare. Okay. So Spell Pierce, they're tapped out of. I can answer this thing. It's just going to cost me a bunch of cards. And I have to tutor my basic Swamp, which I don't really want, unless I draw another land right now. We did it. Okay. This means I can just push the Trespasser without having to untap their lands. Like, if I had to use Field of Ruin, then Spell Pierce would be back on again. I'm going to push and discard one of the Clings. Got me with the tech. That was a good card. I like that it's turn 5, and we have the same amount of mana. Ooh, okay. We no longer have the same number of cards in hand. I could Bowmaster here. That makes their Bowmaster really good, though. I'm not trying to do that. Alright, they're back up to 4 cards in hand. I'm going to let the Warp resolve so I don't run into a Consigned in Memory when I tap out, but I am going to go for the Field of Ruin here. See how many basics they play. Okay, Subtlety drawn. We both have 4 lands, which means we both have all spells in our hand, and we both know that. Yuck, bro. Alright, that card's really good. Yeah, Thoughtseize is always a mirror breaker in draw-go blue matchups. If they strip my push and then get a frog in, I could be in a lot of trouble. If they have Murktide here, I could be in a lot of trouble. Continue to not be worried about push. They drew this for turn, or else it would have been in play already. I'm going to Cling out of my graveyard in the end step. Exile one of their Thoughtseizes. Because I mostly don't care if this gets countered. I don't care if I get pinged for one with a Bowmaster. This is just end step money. Get me paid. And I'm not spending my mana any other way. Sheoldred's Edict. Solid draw. No fetch in the end step. 3 feels like a lot of basics already. You know, I have 5, but I'm built for this. Built different. Alright, Rizzler arriving from exile. And I'm gonna Sheoldred's Edict before they get to draw a card. Alright, please don't have another Spell Snare. We did it. Do I want to get Bowmaster in right now? I think so. They've already played a land this turn. Spell Pierce is off. If they had Snare, they would have used it. Let's do some damage. Set up possible Kaitos. Or they have to shock to Fatal Push. That's the same amount of damage. Yeah, it's more damage in the short term. It becomes the same damage turn after next, because my Orc army is smaller. That also makes it pretty clear to me that they're out of basics. Or there's only one swamp, I guess, is a fair argument against here. I'm going to Cling Fatal Push from their graveyard. I want to draw a card, see if I could find something to push here. If I hit a Kaito or something, that's awesome. I did not hit a Kaito or something. Right, in with my Orc. Here I have up Fatal Push plus Force of Negation. That covers small creatures or any spell. But we know they have big creatures in the deck because there's Quantum Riddler right there. Thoughtseize. Yeah, that's better for me if it resolves. I am trying to get these last 8 life points gone from my opponent. Took the Force. Scary. What spell are we casting? I'm so nervous. Okay, I could Cling in the end step. I think I want to do that. I'll target a Spell Snare. This makes me a little nervous because now I'm out of Clings. If they do something out of the graveyard, shields are down, but drawing a card for free, too good to ignore. Wan Shi Tong, also pretty good. Attacks, bonus at 5. And this is a spot where it's tough because I could just put lethal on the board, but also I don't want to get hit by a counterspell. Okay, opponent's got Quantum Riddler. I think, and I could Field of Ruin here and bet that they don't have another counterspell. Or I could Field of Ruin, or I could Wan Shi and try to draw a counterspell. All right. I'm going to Wan Shi and try to draw 1 card here. Sad. Oh man, that also gave them 1 card in hand. I might have just fucked that entire sequence. Yeah, I think the risk of turning on the extra draw actually just made that super boneheaded. Yeah, I guess I'll destroy another land. Start sniffing out information for game 2. Opponent is out of basics. Okay. We're both on 5 turn clocks right now. Opponent gets the first attack, though. And they have better cards accessible than I do. Misty Rainforest. We know they're out of basics. We're not sure if they're out of fetchables. But we have seen 2 Watery Graves and 2 Undercity Sewers already. I've still got another sewer I can get. Sewer. I don't like this card, which is perfect, because that lets me Cling to Dust again. Cling to Dust, love this engine. All formats, all the time. All right, yeah, Bowmaster is going to cook me no matter what. I'm not worried about them getting an extra trigger here. Children's Edict. All right, that was actually awesome. Fatal Push, Orcish Bowmaster. Children's Edict. Non-token creatures. Oh no, what's all this? Oh shit, I don't have Revolt, right? No, I don't. Dang. That was so good. Yeah, if I had Revolt, I could push this. But yeah, nothing of mine has left the battlefield this turn. Now they're going to draw 2 cards again. Quantum Riddler. Tough for this deck. I feel safe saying. I think I actually should push this Orc army. I actually should have done it before they even untapped. But now I'm going to do it because that cuts a turn off the clock. Draw 2 cards, bash me. What do I need here? Kaito would be pretty good. Another Shieldred's Edict to take the pressure off. A Wan Shi, like something really big that could pressure back, would be okay. Instead, I have nothing. Tight. Yeah, opponent cycling off Fatal Push, just targeting their own Riddler that won't die to get 1 card in hand to draw an extra card. Good shit. Okay, go to 4. Hardcast Kaito. That's what I wanted. This is fucked up. Right, and giving ninjas bigger. Subtlety. You're late. Right, Quantum Riddler. That guy. Mostly actually Thoughtseize. Quantum Riddler killed me, but Thoughtseize controlled the entire pace of that game on behalf of my opponent. Yeah, they've got 3 basic lands. I didn't see a Psychic Frog, but that doesn't mean they don't have it. In fact, probably do. It would be weird if they didn't, but I mean, I don't. Clinged it, 1 Cling, Force of Negation. Not really a Logic Knot matchup, and I'm just upgrading that into Mystical Dispute anyway. I love Shieldred's Edict. I don't think I'm trying to Damnate. Though, if I want to settle into full control mode, Damnation would be good. This deck has so many creatures that it almost looks like it's not a control deck, but it is. Alright, I'm still not gonna go for that. I want my ways to apply pressure in. I got their life total so low, but they actually had inevitability over me in the late game. I'm a little concerned about my land count here, but I am going to keep. And this is exactly the type of matchup I was talking about earlier when I said I'd keep a 7-lander before I keep a 1-lander. I might genuinely keep 7 lands in this matchup. Sewers in. They like their card, which means I don't like their card. Sewer. Another sewer. Keep it. Sewer. Wan Shi. I guess I'll keep that one, even though it's not a land. And now I'm hoping my opponent plays hard into Spell Snare. It's always the dream. Okay, they did not play into Spell Snare. Did they play into Wan Shi? If they have Fatal Push here, they're good. I am going to try to push my luck here. All right, Spell Snare. And yeah, if I had X equals 1 to that, I could have played around it. But then I'm tapped out of Snare for their turn. There's just a lot to play around. Tamiyo, yikes. Okay, I guess I'm going to Fatal Push this Tamiyo in the end step. This is not Legacy. They can't save it normally. Missing land drops, the Nightmare scenario. Opponent is fetching here. If they tap out for Kaito, I'm good. Okay, Preordain. Yeah, Sheoldred's Edict covers Kaito, Murktide kind of stuff. I am extremely not worried about Psychic Frog. Top bottom Preordain. I'm not going to be the one to play the first Bowmaster through another non-land. And Screw beats Flood. We'll see if they're actually flooded or, okay, we're both missing land drops now. That makes me feel a little better, actually. Only a little, though. All right, we're going end step Subtlety beats. I don't like that, but okay. As something as simple as drawing a fetch land gets me out of this. This is not a huge deal. If they Kaito here, that's a fight we'll have to fight somehow. Right, end step Cling to Dust. I think I want the Spell Snare, just in case they have Snapcaster Mage. I don't know what's going on over there. Yuck. Okay. Land? Yeah, alright. I'm at least not having to panic and go to discard or cast a spell on my own turn. That's the stuff I really don't want to happen. Hey, your Subtlety attacks. I might end step a Subtlety here. It's working out for my opponent pretty well. In you go, big guy. Alright, drew out a Mystical Dispute. That's gotta be fine. There we go. Now I feel really good. Yeah, I'm gonna Fatal Push this in attacks. Don't want to wait for blocks. Sheoldred's Edict. It's weird because I do want that card, but also it's not a land or a threat. Push the Subtlety. Handled. Okay, a land drop. Can my Cling to Dust catch me back up here? Opponent's got 6 cards in hand to my 5 in hand. We both have 5, or I have 6 lands to their 5. We're just working on the same number of resources out here. Okay. Bowmaster you back. Counter spell. Spell Snare. And I'm in there. Okay. That was progress. We'll see if I get punished here for engaging in a fight on my own turn. I guess I could have done that in their upkeep, and it would have been mostly the same. They would have had 2 more mana up, which could represent counterspell. So no, that's not the same. All right, yeah, just parking the van over there. I like that. All my Sheoldred's Edicts are accounted for now. I'm not going to attack with Orc Army because if they attack with theirs, I'm losing the race, and I'm certainly not going to block. Subtlety resolves. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. I'm not going to Cling this end step. I can afford to be patient. Because if I Cling and I tap out to do it, they can Bowmaster and sweep up all my stuff. But if I wait until I have more mana, untap and have my mana up, I can push or Edict to at least neutralize a Bowmaster. Yeah, fetch. Main phase fetch for land number 6. Getting it tapped. Were they testing for Wan Shi Tong? What was that? Cling to Dust, targeting Counterspell. We've seen Tamiyo. They do care about their graveyard at least a little bit. Fatal Push in response. That's fine. It's not the fight I was fighting. Blooded Strand and pass. Watery Grave. Shocked it in. That's scary. What are you doing with all that mana? Going heads up Quantum Riddler. I could Subtlety that and then also kill it. Which thing would I rather happen? I think I would rather Sheoldred's Edict it if they have 1 counterspell to protect here. Okay, counterspell happens, and then I'm going to Bowmaster. I'll be able to Edict their creature on my turn. You draw a card, I get a 3/3. They've already made their land drop. They would need Force of Negation to win this exchange. That would be pretty good to have, though. Credit where it's due. Fatal Push. Drawn a lot of those. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token. I got through that one, and attack for 4. It's kind of a real attack now. Doing something. I don't think I'm going to crack this fetch land. I have 2 Fatal Pushes in my hand. My opponent has Subtleties in their deck and Graveyard Trespassers in their deck. These are all cards I might want to respond to in some fashion. Going after Cling to Dust is not the best because I can just cast it in response, and this will fizzle even if they counter the spell. Fatal Push my Bowmaster in response. Okay. Wan Shi Tong. Cool. All right, what's left over there? I'm up on cards. Oh, that's a shitty one. All right. I'm no longer up on cards. There is a basic island left in their deck to fetch. They draw for turn. Scalding Tarn's a nice draw. I'm going to attack, see if they just want to trade. Don't want to trade. Fair enough. Fetch. I'll get... Don't really want basic swamp. I'll get basic island. I do want untapped mana, though. Fatal Push. Discard Scalding Tarn. If they fetch to counterspell, I can at least Wan Shi Tong. And I'm doing it enough that I get to draw a card. A 3/3 that draws a card. And I found counterspell. It's a good one to find. And I get to draw another card. And that means I can pay the ward twice here if I have to. Discard Scalding Tarn the first time. Counterspell. Okay, so I could counterspell and it doesn't cost me an extra card. I could let Graveyard Trespasser be in play. I think I'm just going to push this again, discard the swamp, and hold up counterspell for my opponent's Quantum Riddler that's in warp, and hope that this is it, because I have lethal. They need Riddler, and they need to protect. Tameo is okay. This Riddler would flip Tameo. Alright, last card in hand. Please don't be good. Oh no. Oh no! Devastating. Though it is kind of interesting because Tameo almost better as a blocker. The life totals are pretty tight here. But I guess it is still worth 2 instead of the 3 you'd get by chump blocking. Alright, well, Wan Shi. Draw me a card. I'm out of basics here. But opponent still has to search their deck. Big draws. Another Field of Ruin. Maybe next turn. I guess I'm just passing here. Opponent has 2 in hand. I can Cling to Dust to fight over a Tameo minus. I don't think they'll be searching their deck, because I think all their lands are in play. Trying to buy back Counterspell. I'll target that with my thing. Cling to Dust has been an incredible engine. Not as good as Quantum Riddler, but incredible. Okay. So I draw a card and you get nothing. Deal. Pretty hyped about that. Psychic Frog is in the deck. If there's a game 3, I have this information now. Second Riddler's gonna draw 3. Oh no! Oh, this sucks. Yeah. Just a much better endgame if you're willing to play some sorceries in your deck. Okay, Riddler warps out. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand. Spell Snare. That's a little late to the party. I'm gonna hit Undercity Sewer again. This is just paying 3 to draw a card. This draw card does make Wan Shi Tong big enough to bash through Riddler. And it is lethal, so they have to block. Alright, nobody found a land. I did draw a card, though, or I'm about to. Spell Snare. Are we gaming? Consult the star charts. That's not nothing. What am I even looking for? All of my edicts are gone. If I attack with Wan Shi, yeah, I guess I'll start with that. They can jump Frog to chump. They could jump Frog double block, discard some cards. If that happens, are all my Fatal Pushes accounted for? Yes, they are. Dang. Okay, jump the Frog. Is this just to chump, or are we setting up an actual eat? Okay, chumping. Deal. Deal, 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 deal. I discarded Thoughtseize. That's to make Quantum Riddler draw extra cards next turn. Consult the star charts. Probably just want to do it now. Mystical Dispute is the card in their hand. That could be good here. Anything else? This is the best time to do this. Okay. Oh, I've got... Field of Ruin can grow Wan Shi into the size where it beats Quantum Riddler even through a Tameo plus. I could just get another Wan Shi. Because my opponent's about to draw 2 cards this turn, 2 extra cards. And if they find an answer to Wan Shi, I'm just in trouble. I could just take 2 star charts and try to have a good next turn. I could take Spell Snare plus Field, which makes Wan Shi bigger and might be able to counter something. I think that's where I'm going to go. Snare and Field. This lets me counter something like a Bowmaster or a Psychic Frog, while guaranteeing a good attack for next turn. There is another Riddler on Warp, though. Strategic Betrayal. Exile a creature they control in their graveyard. I don't want to do that. I will say. I think it's uncontroversial to say I don't want to do that. Children's Edict. Fudge. Yeah, that's one of the things I was worried about. The problem is they also play Fatal Pushes and shit. That wasn't even really a great option. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't actually afford to field here. Opponent draws another 2 cards with a Riddler. Yeah, that would have been a great turn to follow up with slam a million mana Wan Shi from my hand. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. Subtlety this thing. Any power and toughness on the board is good for me. And even if they put this on top, I can shuffle it away with Field of Ruin. Opponent has counterplay because, of course they do. They've drawn more cards than me this game. Yep. I guess I put Subtlety to the bottom because I'm going to draw a card and then probably shuffle anyway. And there's still a Riddler and Warp. Imagine me, a peasant, drawing 1 card every time I draw a card instead of drawing 2 cards every time you draw a card. And that Damnation in my sideboard actually doesn't even look that bad, though it doesn't look good either, because there's still a Riddler and Warp, which was part of my concern about bringing the card in. Like, I just don't even think I'm a better deck into Damnation than they are. All right, you got me. Yeah, Thoughtseize, Quantum Riddler, and Tameo, all insane weapons in this matchup. Psychic Frog under control for the first 17 turns of the game, but one got through. And once again, I've defeated all my opponents in this league who don't have Quantum Riddler in their deck, and lost to the ones who do have it. On to the final round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I am on the play in the final round. I'm going to keep my hand. I've got lands and some stuff to do with them. Trying to fade that Quantum Riddler bracket. Marsh Flats. A swamp. A Thoughtseize, okay. Marsh Flats is not usually in Esper Frog, though. Or Dimir Frog. It would be an Esper Frog. Took one of the 2 Bowmasters. Interesting. I could fetch Watery Grave here, exile Thoughtseize, draw a card. I don't think I want Force of Negation. If this proves to be Esper Gorios, maybe I did want that. But if it's not, I certainly don't. Okay, I don't want land number 4. All right, drew a bunch of lands there. Hand is still the same as it was last turn. Okay, looks like we are in that Dimir zone again. Flooded Strand. I'll get my 3rd and final Undercity Sewer. Children's Edict. I think I want that eventually. I'm just going to play Swamp. I don't want them to know that I have this Field of Ruin. Got that fetch land over there. If there is a 3rd basic in the deck, I don't want to see it right away. Though if there is a 3rd basic in the deck, destroying that land doesn't matter. Blue to Delta. Opponent has seen my hand and I've not seen theirs, which is not ideal for me. I don't know if they're walking me into a web of insanity or if their hand just stinks. I have no idea. No way to know. An opponent knows about Bowmaster, Cling, and Subtlety. I could go for an end-step Cling here. I would win a Bowmaster fight, even if they have a counterspell or a second Bowmaster. Yeah, I'm going to Cling their Thoughtseize. I'm trying to hit them land drops, and I did. I could flashback Cling right now. Just draw another card. Yeah, I'll go for it. Kick that engine in somewhere. Do something to get ahead. Even if this eats a Spell Pierce, that's fine. Yeah, and if they play Bowmaster out into my Bowmaster, I'm fine with that too. Like, taking the ping is okay as long as I get the last one. Okay. Bowmaster. Fetching in response. I could have started some sort of fight there where I Bowmaster again in response to the fetch, and then kill their Bowmaster, then Wan Shi, then draw a card off their fetch, and then also resolve my Bowmaster, but that seems like a lot that needs to go right. And what are they fetching for? Okay. It looks like they were fetching just to get ahead of possible Wan Shis. The Orc Army. I have a plan versus Kaito, so this is okay to get through. Watery Grave tapped, and go to my turn. Another land for me. I'll take him. Attack. The race is on. Bloom Lake Verge, that's a sweet land. I don't have anything like that. Just regular old Watery Graves for me. Okay. I think I want Cheeky Wan Shi in, because that draws a card with Field of Ruin. This leaves up enough that I could have a little fight if I need to. Subtlety. How do I feel about Subtlety? Good enough to tap out here? Probably not. I'm going to stick another Bowmaster underneath all of this, see if they want to tap the last of their mana on their own end step. Yeah, I'm in there with that. And I could fetch Watery Grave now. I could also just put Wan Shi Tong on top of my deck and not sweat it. Alright, yeah, Wan Shi Tong's on top of my deck. Draw. They didn't like that on their own turn. Let's see how they like it on mine. I'm just going to Wan Shi for 0 again, trying to use the Field of Ruin. I'm in there. I will ruin your field. This could go wrong, but I'm just going to hope it doesn't. Okay. That ability resolved, at least. And I drew a card, and it was a land. And my 4th land actually does matter here. I will zap that in. They're still spending mana here. Children's Edict. What if I sent one of those back your way? Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. Okay, I guess you can have one of my Bowmasters, and then I'll attack. Okay, that was a pretty cool turn, but now my opponent has untapped all their mana. Okay, I am going to counterspell this, or at least try to. Wan Shi Tong is not optional if my opponent sticks a Bowmaster and then starts drawing a bunch of cards, or fetching a bunch, or they start fetching a bunch. I have to draw a bunch of cards. They could build a large army. Sink into Stupor. Interesting. Okay, so your Bowmaster kills my Bowmaster. You end up with a 3/3 army. Yeah, I don't think this is worth a Subtlety. So this could get weird. The race is definitely on. Quantum Riddler. Fuck off. Alright, that has to resolve. Opponent gets to reload. Who gave all my opponents this card? This is an outrage. Alright, yeah, there's that fetch land, that clutch draw that I'm not necessarily in control of. Pluto Delta not doing much. Do I lose if I attack? Orc Army can be a 4/4 and they can ping me for 1. And I'm attacking with Wan Shi Tong, obviously it has Vig. This Orc Army could go very poorly if I attack. I'm just going to hold back. I can gain 3 life with Clean to Dust. That's one of the modes on that card. Opponent knows I have Counterspell in my hand because they put it there. They don't know I also have Subtlety. Okay, here's the commit. They know about Counterspell. They don't know about Subtlety. How do I want to sequence this? Guess I want to Counterspell first, use the known thing. Maybe they'll commit to a line that doesn't actually work here. Counterspell. This can bury the Riddler. Oh, you pitched a Subtlety back at me, you sick animal. Alright. Okay. Their Quantum Riddler is going to resolve. Once again, this is what happens when your opponent draws multiple cards a turn to your 1 and immediately reloaded. I don't know if I have outs anymore. I'm usually pretty happy to see Kaito, I guess. I could have double blocked there, but I think if I double block, I'm losing, because that doesn't even take their good permanents out of play. Consult the star charts. Alright, charts. Is there a useful card left in my deck? It's none of these ones. I'm dead on board, none of these impact. And Subtlety can block, I guess. No, this game is not winnable. I needed to see 2 Shouldered Edicts there. And even then, I might still lose. Oh, what a tough league this has been. Yeah, the Dimir deck, despite us being really well aligned against Psychic Frog, we are very poor against Thoughtseize and Quantum Riddler. These games have been going long. I'm going to shave the Spell Pierce. I'm messing with this Damnation. I don't really see anywhere to put it is the problem. And the Logic Knot is a maybe. I want the counter spells. I want the consults. I want edicts. I want all my removal. I want at least one cling. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see the line to get that card into my deck. I can play 61, I guess. But I don't really believe in that as a plan either. Okay, I'm going to keep Watery Grave, pass. Dark Slick Shores, right on time. Busted. Wan Shi, also right on time. Hand is already improved. Opponent shocked in a land. Okay, drawing basic island means I don't have to reveal these Fields of Ruin yet. It's weird to shove that out. I have to imagine my opponent wants me to tap out or has another Bowmaster, but I'm still gonna make my move while I only have to think about removal and I don't have to think about counterspell. Yeah, another Bowmaster. That is the story you told. The good news is, if I don't draw a good card very quickly, this one might end a lot faster than the last times Quantum Riddler has just buried me in 40-minute matches. I can't even use Wan Shi Tong. Not really. Dump an extra land. There's that Soporific Springs that helped them win last game. I could cycle Cling, exiling my own Undercity Sewers. That's the only target that draws a card here. To do that, I would want to block the Orc Army and do it first. What happens if I cast Wan Shi Tong right now? One Bowmaster triggers, and I would have a 3/3. Alright, I guess I'll take my chances here. And all this open mana. Okay, they let it resolve. That doesn't mean the fight's over. Alright, I did draw a card. Okay, Wan Shi is in play as a 3/3. That might be something. Orc Army's a 4/4 though. I don't love that for me. And a fetch deals more. Alright, this is kind of shitty, but I'm going to push the Orc Army because that's the one that's killing me the fastest. If I draw a Bowmaster of my own, I could do something here. Consult the star charts. Oh no, you have Kaito as well. Alright. I guess I'll play another turn of the game, but it's over. I'll take another draw step. If it's not Sheoldred's Edict or a quick path to Sheoldred's Edict, we can be done. Dumped Subtlety and Fatal Push. Okay. I guess I'll cling your Sheoldred's Edict and see if I draw my own. Alright. Dead. Alright. We defeated everyone who didn't have Quantum Riddler in their deck. Unfortunately, more opponents than not did have that card. Yeah, it seems like this deck is constructed around the idea of Wan Shi Tong, where it's my mana's always open. They never know if I have Wan Shi, and if they play a spell, I counter it. If they don't play a spell, I flash in a creature, and like that's how flash decks work. That's the point of them. The issue is that all the trickiness in the world does not account for card quality, and Quantum Riddler and Thoughtseize and Psychic Frog are just better cards than Wan Shi Tong. And Consult the Star Charts. Orcish Bowmaster's a good card. Counterspell is. Cling to Dust did a lot this league, though I'm not sure how impactful it actually was. I did draw a lot of cards off it, but I drew a lot of cards off it in games I was dying to Quantum Riddler. You know who else draws lots of cards? Quantum Riddler. Yeah, I think this deck is very cool, and it's well constructed for what it is, but I think that what it is just fundamentally not advantaged versus the way that people actually do play Control in this format. Maybe trying to flip the script and become proper tempo. Like, what if we had 3 Kaitos instead of 1? What if this wasn't just a guy who shows up sometimes and it was a constant 4 Bowmaster, 4 Wan Shi, 3 Kaito. It happens on turn 3 a lot of the time. Like, if my opponents were losing 3 life a turn while I drew 2 cards every turn in all of the games we played, where instead of that happening, I was just sitting there watching my cards slowly get obsoleted by their better cards they were playing. If we were playing from ahead and trying to stay there or trying to narrowly hold on to forward momentum long enough to kill the opponent, that I could get behind. But unfortunately for dear sweet Wan Shi Tong, a card that inspired a lot of excitement, The card is good, don't get me wrong, but it was very expensive on the secondary market. It's a card that reads a lot better than it plays, especially in the context of the formats where you would want to play it. Like, I've played with and against this card in Standard versus the Green Landfall deck, where it's just going to draw you 6 cards and be huge. That's really good. But that format doesn't have Fatal Push, Orcish Bowmaster, Sheoldred's Edict, all these things that just smush this poor little guy. I'm going to leave this one here. This was fun. This is Magic I like to play. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite stack up against the way that everyone else was playing Magic. Lucify, thank you for asking me to play this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.